My way, or the highway, and in the driveway is a nice range. Cause I grind through the climb, I invite pain. You'll never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief. They deceive with the negativity, but I just slide right by that energy. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go.
What's going on, everybody? Gallop Out crew is back. Jackson Muniz and myself, Ryan Anderson. We're back, Jackson. We're back earlier. If you caught our show with the Arkansas Derby, Florida Derby preview with Tom Amos, as well as some very, very fun stories regarding Serengeti Empress, his start into training, and his biggest betting score. So if you haven't seen that, go ahead, head on over to In the Money, check it out. Jackson, what are your thoughts as we are going to dive into the late pick 3 at Gulfstream Park, as well as the Gulfstream Park Oaks this Saturday?
No one cares about my thoughts. Get our guests on. Let's hear her thoughts. We haven't talked about it in a long time.
That's right. We have a guest coming. I don't even want to say guest, just another co-host coming back because Jackson, she actually is having issues hearing us right now, so I have no idea how that could be the case.
We'll bring her on. Maybe it'll fix it.
Okay, we'll bring her on. We'll hope it fixes it. Kaylie, how's it going? Can you hear us?
Hey, can't hear Ryan. Not sure exactly why, but I could kind of read what you were saying.
We're just saying welcome back to the
entire show, Ryan. It's gonna be good practice.
Okay. Well, welcome back to the show.
Make sure you enunciate. Enunciate.
Not being able to hear me, that's a new one. So, Jackson, you're probably gonna have to help interpret in some way. Maybe have Kaylie, if you want to leave and then join back, maybe that'll fix it.
He said,
perhaps I'll join and come back. Maybe it's me if Jackson can hear me.
That's exactly what Brian just said.
That is exactly what I said. Okay. Well, hope that fixes things. Technology is always great. She heard us in the pre-show, no problem. So we'll see. But anyway, not even a special guest, just an old co-host of ours. If you remember the old show, Big Hoof Energy, that we used to do, we were covering those New York racing. So that was always fun. But Jackson, as of right now, because Kaylie's not on until she fixes the tech stuff. Just kidding. She's back. So I don't care about your thoughts. We care about Kaylie's. Kaylie, can you hear me?
Yes, it was indeed my computer. Because now I can hear you. Hey,
we're
guys.
back. March. How's it going, Kaylie? Welcome back to the show. It's good to have you on again with us. Obviously, it's been a hot minute, as I know you're busy out at NYRABets, as we can see in the background. Catch us up on how you've been, what's new, and are you looking forward to the Wood Memorial next week?
Yes, looking forward to the last Wood Memorial ever. And it's definitely been a minute since we've all been on the same show together. So really excited to be back with you guys and great races to talk about tonight. And of course, excited for the Wood next week as well. So lots going on.
That's going to be a ton of fun. I see you and Matthew DeSantis still pumping out endless content out on the NYRABets socials. You guys have not let up one bit. Over the past, it's got to be like 2 years now, Jackson. Every time I open Twitter, it's just there's a new video, new preview. So you guys just do not stop. And Jackson, today we've been a little bit, just a fraction of that, as this is our like 3rd or 4th video together. So after this video, I promise I'll be sick of Jackson at least for the week, and then I'll see him again next week when we pick everything back up. But Kaylie, it's nice to have you here. Nice to have a fresh face as we're going to dive in to Gulfstream Park. And we're going to start with the Gulfstream Park Oaks, grade 2, going as race number 9 on the marathon of races taking place on Saturday. Picks are as follows. I'm going 6-4-5, Jackson 4-6-5, and Kaylie 5-6-4. So we view this as a 3-horse race. And we're going to start with the number 5 to our co-host and guest, Kaylie, and the number 5 Prom Queen for Brad Cox. Showing up here off of an impressive maiden win over this track, going 2 turns. Why do you like this filly in this spot?
Pretty impressive maiden win for her, and she improved a lot stretching out to 2 turns, which definitely was the first thing that caught my eye. Checking out the replay, it was really impressive visually. The figure's decent, 83. She'll have to get a little faster, especially to compete with She Be Smooth, who's your morning line favorite, but you're going to get a better price on Prom Queen, and in her maiden breaking race, her last race, I thought that she sat a very professional trip in between and behind horses, which really bodes well stepping up into stakes company. And I think that she should be up to the task for Brad Cox. Good jockey aboard. Javier Castellano sticks with her. So I really like her. I thought that she was a good opportunity to try to beat the morning line favorite with.
Yeah, obviously I was not as creative as I went to the morning line favorite in the number 6, She Be Smooth. Jackson also went a different direction, going to the number 4, Just Singing. Jackson, go ahead and sell us on your point on this 3-year-old filly getting blinkers on for the Sweezy Barn.
I just like the progression that she's shown from each and every start. She's been able to run a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. And if she takes another step forward in this race, second off the bench, second start of her 3-year-old campaign, I don't think she has to improve a crazy amount to get in the mix against Prom Queen and the 6 horse who is She Be Smooth. The issue with her is she's kind of a one-run closer. She's going to drop out the back and make one run. And given the pace scenario and given how slow she is early on, it could be an issue, but the blinkers are going on. They're going to try to work that out a little bit, get her more into the race. And look, I thought the comeback race was actually pretty good, given how slow they went up front with Bella Ballerina and Love Your Neighbor just dictating terms to everyone else. That kind of just merry-go-round it around there. And she was the only horse that kind of was able to make up at least a little bit of ground. So she's going to need a little bit of pace up front, but at the price she's going to be compared to the 2 big favorites, I think she's worth a little stab in this race.
Yeah, she's going to be a very bettable price. I believe 9-2 is the morning line. 9-5 on Prom Queen, 7-5 on She Be Smooth, who's my top pick. Obviously, this filly is 2 for 2 heading into this race. Last time out in the Devona Dale, just destroyed that group. And while I do think On Time Girl is probably best around one turn, that's exactly what the Devona Dale was run around. And she really didn't show up with her A effort, but She Be Smooth came and really blew away that field with Flavian Pratt aboard that day. He obviously is going to stick aboard as he is in town in South Florida for Saturday's races. And yeah, I think the stretch around 2 turns is going to fit perfectly. I think it's going to naturally bring her maybe a little bit more into the race. And I don't know that she's a one-run closer as much as Just Singing is, but I know she's going to be coming from off the pace, but she quickened really nicely last time and she powered away. Like the stretch out to 2 turns shouldn't be an issue. So she's one that I'm going to take a short price on. She'll be a single for me if I play the late sequences here at Gulfstream. Is there anybody else? Go ahead, Jackson.
I just think it's kind of a weird pace scenario in here with the 3 favorites specifically, because and with Prom Queen and She Be Smooth, because they were both so close to the pace when they faced off last time. And then when they both faced different company the second time out, they were both dead last, which was just bizarre to me given how much speed they showed the first time out. And then there's all these other horses in here that are probably not win candidates, but seems like they're quicker than the favorites in here. So all these horses are probably gonna have to come from off the pace.
Yeah, they are probably going to have to come from off the pace. Is there anybody you could see pose a major upset, maybe going wire to wire if they go too quick, if nobody goes early? Is there anybody in here? Because I was hard to find a horse outside of these top 3 that could pose an upset.
I do think in terms of win contenders that those top 3 are the top 3, even the top 2 on the morning line. Of course, you want to take a swing with a price here. I do think that the pace scenario should be pretty interesting because a horse like She Be Smooth is probably not going to get the same pace that she got last time out in the Devona Dale. And it is a little bit of a question stretching out to 2 turns. There's nothing to believe that she can't do it. But if she faces a horse like Prom Queen that is really going to excel, clearly excelling at this distance, then she could run into a little bit of trouble. But the number 2 horse for Safi to me was a little bit interesting just in terms of the pace scenario. I don't have this filly in my top 3, but if she gets away up on the front end, then that's probably the really only upset contender that I could find here.
I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that at all. I think if Tyler's aggressive from the inside post, I think getting out to the lead is something that could very easily happen. And Safi horses are very tough to catch if they get loose on the front end, as he always has them with a ton of foundation. Jackson, do you agree before we move on to the late pick 3? All right, he agrees. That's a thumbs up. I got the silent treatment from him on that one. Wrapping up the picks, I'm going 6-4-5. Jackson 4-6-5. Kaylie going 5-6-4. We'll go to race number 12, and for some reason that's not scrolling on the bottom of the screen, so I'll go ahead and fix that. I'll throw the picks up. Race number 12. We're going a mile and a 16th. It's the Sand Spring Stakes for fillies and mares 4 years old and upward. I'm going 7-3-6. Jackson is going 3-1-10. Kaylie is going 4-10-1. So we're going to start with the number 4, and that is Hang the Moon. Jackson, a horse you and I are very familiar with, having run out west a great deal. Posed a huge upset in the John C. Maybe back in 2024, beating the likes of Anisette and Dandea, something like that. Nanadea, I don't know. But anyway, Kaylie, you ended up on Hang the Moon here as your top pick, as this show is quickly going off the rails, but second time in the barn for Sappy Joseph and Johnny V.
Well, to start, I thought this was a really tough race, and I thought that there's plenty of directions that you could go here, which you can kind of see with our top 3. We're all in a different direction, and I just wanted to take a swing with the price here, and I thought that this filly makes a lot of sense. This mare makes a lot of sense. She has a lot of races that you can go back to. You brought up her upset at Del Mar, but she backed it up in the Rodeo Drive after that, winning that as well. She's run well in some tough graded stakes races. Here she's in listed stakes company. She's in Safi's barn now. This will be her second start for him at Gulfstream Park. I liked her chances, and I think that maybe she'll be a little bit more involved early on. And she gets Johnny V aboard. She draws well. There's a lot that I like at 6-1 for her here.
Yeah, there is a lot to like in here. She can certainly take another step up, and Hang the Moon I have at 6-1 on the morning line. Jackson, your top pick is going right to the inside in the number 3, Sweet Rebecca, a filly now mare that's pretty tough to get a gauge on. We kind of talked in the group chat about kind of what do you do with this horse? Well, you saw fit to pick her on top. She is 5-2 on the morning line.
I just feel like at the end of the day, she's the horse to beat. She's probably the best horse in the field. And there's just not a whole lot of other pace in this race. And I'm not saying she's going to be on the lead, but she's going to be within a length or two of the pace. And I don't think they're going to fly. She's going to get the jump on the deeper closers. And I thought she ran well in the most recent comeback race. I mean, she sat the pocket. She tried to go around, didn't quite work out, dove back inside, and was able to come up the fence and beat, Child of the Moon that day, who came right back and ran pretty well in a tougher stakes race down at Tampa Bay Downs. So I think she's the class of the field. It's not super creative in here, but I just feel like there's a lot of angles to like about her. And if you're actually able to get that 5-2 price, I think that's value.
Yeah, I think the 5-2 could be value on her. My top pick is going to the number 7 in Yes It Is. Brad Cox, Junior Alvarado teaming up. They're putting this filly back on the dirt. And honestly, the race in September on the 14th at Churchill that came off the turf, she ended up winning that race. So I think they kind of just kept her on the dirt to see what she was kind of made of, because obviously that's kind of where all the money is. Whether you're in the boys division or against the girls, more money is just on the dirt races. So they kept her going 2 turns. She won the next level allowance race or optional claiming race at Keeneland, came right back in the Cumley, where she was ultimately declared a non-starter because of some issues out of the gate, and then came back in the Houston Ladies Classic over a mess of a main track at Sam Houston, ran 3rd. And then, so I think she's kind of just maybe idled out, maybe hit her ceiling on the dirt. So I think she absolutely makes a lot of sense to get back onto the turf. She has plenty of turf breeding. Her main sibling was pretty much all turf in her career in Delarna, given mostly at the lower levels. But 'tis the law. We've seen him have tremendous success over the grass. This is a horse that I think on turf had maybe a little bit more speed than she's shown on the dirt. Obviously, I think the pace scenario that we've talked about a little bit is probably my biggest concern, that she could be left with a little bit too much to do, seeing as how she's been kind of that one-run deep closer on the main track. But I'm hoping maybe she has a little bit more early pace switching over to the grass. Haven't seen her in a few months, so it's possible she's taken a little bit of a step forward. Technically her second start now as a 4-year-old, but 12-1, I'm willing to find out. And Junior Alvarado's done nothing but give sensational rides this winter down at Hallandale Beach. So I'm going to take Yes It Is on top and hope for something crazy to happen.
I like that horse. I thought this horse was a little bit interesting too. I don't have her in my top 3. I pulled stats for Brad Cox, and I think it got in my head a bit, switching from the dirt back from dirt to turf. I thought it was curious though that he's making the move with her, and she has a lot of European pedigree, as you said. So she handles the turf fine, and who knows if she's improved, she could take another step forward even on the turf. So thought she was interesting. And like I said, I mean, this is a race I think you have to take a shot with the price. I think the morning line favorite is super vulnerable here. I really couldn't find one thing I liked about the morning line favorite here to be honest. So I differ a little
I
with
like it.
Jackson
I like
here.
it too.
She's a little.
What do you hate about her? Or
Well, I
not?
don't
What do you
hate.
dislike
I
about
mean,
her?
she's a little all over the place. I don't like all the barn changes. I mean,
Yeah.
she was with Brendan Walsh, and then she went to Chad for a while, who I thought was finding pretty good spots for her. I do think that she needs Lasix. That to me, I know she won her
Mhm.
second race without Lasix, a listed stakes. Maybe she was at her ceiling at that point. I think she needs a little help with Lasix. I didn't know what to make of her here at such a short price.
No, I think the Lasix thing especially is a really valid point because her best races, there's no doubt they have come when she's used Lasix before. But I will say she is also 2 for 2 with Brennan Walsh, so
Mhm.
maybe that's just been the difference maker. Who knows?
Also 2 for 2 over this track. So whether it's Brendan Walsh or it is the Gulfstream Park turf course, she is 2 for 2 over it. But I'm with you, Kaylie. I tried to beat this horse just for the fact that she could burn me. She's great on her best days, but it's tough to know when those are. I did want to take a bit of a stab. Next one we're going to go to is the number 10, Candy Quest. Kaylie, I'll throw it back out to you as you're taking this Mark Cassie runner, Javier Castellano, once again in the mounts for one of your top picks.
Yeah, this filly's working lights out, which definitely caught my eye, working really well on the turf, and another one that's run a lot of races that fit here. And I also think that cutting back a bit, she's going to get better pace to run into. I really like that angle for her. Clearly, she's a filly that needs a little bit of pace, and she draws to the far outside, but she'll be able to tuck in behind some horses and make a run. And I think while the pace isn't going to be blistering, I do think that she'll get a decent pace to run into cutting back in distance. So I liked her here, and I thought 7-2 was a fair price as well.
Yeah, 7-2, I think is a fair price. She's one to kind of keep an eye on as we have Just Basking and Dona Clota, among some others, running back earlier in the card. So maybe to see how that form kind of transfers over. That being said, two very different distances because that's going to be another marathon race, and Candy Quest cutting back to the 8.5 furlongs, that mile and a 16th distance, where she has had a decent bit of success. Jackson, any points to add on the number 10 Candy Quest before we go to Maggie Go down on the rail?
It just seemed like last time was too far for her because she was following No Show Sammy Joe when that horse took off around the turn. Irad did the right thing. He tried to go follow the favorite. Just she didn't see out that distance. Two back race, she had absolutely no chance with the pace. She actually ran really well. I think the same could be said for the QE2. That track got really speedy that day, and she ran fine and against the grade 1 types. So the concern I had for her was, I think Kaylie and I see this race a little differently pace wise. I don't see a ton of speed, and she is a horse that is going to drop out the back and make one run. But if they do line up on the front end, I'm most scared of her. I think she's got a wicked turn of foot.
She does have her form is a little bit muddied up, so hopefully that 7-2 price sticks because I do think on her best day she's better than a lot of these and certainly has the speed figures to back it up. Jackson, I'll stick with you as we're going to the reigning Eclipse Award Jockey of the Year and Flavian Pratt down on the rail for Chad Brown and Maggie Go.
Yeah, I just feel like she's got the right post and the right tactical style for this race. Again, I don't really know who's going to go forward in here. It seems like it's a very murky pace scenario, and because she's drawn down on the rail, I think Pratt's just going to come running out of the gate. I don't think she's going to be in front necessarily, but she's going to be pretty close to the pace. She might get the jump on the deeper closers. She's another one that has to come off Lasix, but she has run well without it in the past, so it's not as big of a concern. And it's just going to be her second start of the year, so she could take a step forward in here too.
How do you envision? Do you think she's going to get bet down a lot off that 6-1 morning line? That concerned me maybe a touch. I think there's plenty of options and plenty of places to go here in terms of wagering, but Pratt and Chad always seem to take some money.
Yeah, I think she'll come down, but I don't think it'll be ridiculous. I think she'll be 4-1, 9-2.
Nice. I like it. Maggie, go. Any points to add on this runner, Kaylie?
Yeah, and I think the presence of Sweet Rebecca and a few other short prices in here, hopefully you do get around 6-1. And I would have liked her a lot more. I mean, she drew the rail, which isn't really ideal. I don't think that she has much speed at all. If you look at the races that she was close to the front, they were pretty slow. So I don't know if she's going to come out flying, but I could see her rating, and you know that Pratt's going to work out a trip there. So I like her. I would have liked her a little bit more if she drew differently, but I thought 6-1's a really good price on her.
She is interesting at 6-1. Certainly one to consider a little bit. Last one I'll talk about is the number 6 Silver Moonlight, one that was up close to a pretty slow pace with Flavia and Pratt aboard last time, where Lush Lips just kind of won that race on accident. I don't think anybody really wanted to win that race. I don't know what your guys' thoughts were there. Obviously, Lush Lips is a nice filly. I'm not trying to shit on her in any way, but it really felt like someone else was supposed to win that race, and Lush Lips ended up just kind of getting the job done. It was a slow pace that day. I don't really have a huge excuse for her in there, but it could very well have a similar running style in here to that race last time. I don't think there's a ton of early gas in here, and she's kind of proven that she can come from off of it. She might even be better with a little bit of a target, as that run 3 back was really nice. Same with the run 4 back, where she had a little bit more running to do. Jackson, you gave me a good laugh somewhere in there. What are your thoughts on what I just said?
I thought Lush Lips was huge that day. That's the
Me too.
I thought she ran really, really well, and she's going to be scary in the Jenny Wiley.
Fair enough.
She always shows up too. She's getting better.
She's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Hey, difference of opinion.
Yeah,
never
Brian.
Get it right, buddy. Hey, that's all good. Look, we have fun on here disagreeing with each other. But Silver Moonlight last time ran her best speed figure coming off Lasix for the first time, and I think she could take another step forward here. Obviously, I think the waters get a little bit deeper. I think there are some proven, maybe some saltier types in here. But hey, if I'm wrong on Lush Lips, and 2 out of 3 say that I am, then hey, maybe she faced a lot tougher last time. And Classic Q is another one that I think is a pretty good runner. So maybe Silver Moonlight can get the job done. I'll be probably 2 deep in here if I'm playing some horizontals. I do have respect for Sweet Rebecca, but I don't think I'd include her on my horizontal tickets because I don't want to use a favorite defensively.
Yeah, I think I would spread a little bit here too. Don't think I'll include Sweet Rebecca, but I'll probably go 3 or 4 deep here. I think there's 3 or 4 horses that can win this race. So
without a doubt. Anybody else we want to talk about before we move on to the next race? All right. Jackson is once again giving me the thumbs up, which means we'll go on to the next one. But first, let's wrap it up. Race 12. I'm going 7-3-6, Jackson 3-1-10, and Kaylie 4-10-1. Race 12. Nope. Race 13, as this ticker is all over the place. Race 13 is not that race. Race 13, man.
Come on, Ryan.
I know. I'm going 7-1-8, Jackson 6-10-7, Kaylie 7-6-1. It's the Grade 3 Pan American. It is the return of Farbridge. Miguel Clement trains this multiple graded stakes winner. I am still not over the fact that he won the Sword Dancer a couple years back. That ruined my entire day. But nonetheless, he shows back up at Gulfstream Park, where he has done nothing wrong. He is a perfect 4-for-4. He loves this distance, 3-for-6 going this distance, and Flavia and Pratt is going to take them out for what I see as the first time. Kaylie, I'll go to you first. Farbridge, is this a single for you? Or going to be using a couple others in here?
He's a single for me. I'm really curious how Jackson's going to beat him here with the 6. I'm excited to hear because I looked through, obviously he's coming in off a little bit of a layoff. He does so well off a layoff. This is the time that they brought him back last year as well. I just think he's so classy and tough here, and I couldn't find one other win contender in the race other than him.
I couldn't either. I think the biggest knock against him is he maybe doesn't face the biggest fields all the time, because it's tough to find these marathon types, where his last out in the Turf Classic, he only faced 5 horses and 3 back, and the Bowling Green was 4 horses. So maybe, but I couldn't really find any strong knocks against him. I think he's an absolute single in here for me too. So I'll turn it over to Jackson. Tell us why you're not taking Farbridge and you're going to the inside with your top pick in Dashman.
Well, first of all, was anyone else surprised that he's 6 years old? I feel like he's been around for 10 years. Like, I don't know. He runs all the time. He's a pretty cool horse. What's he on the morning line? Because it keeps disappearing on me. Is he 6-5 or so, I'm assuming?
He is. I'm pulling it up right now.
Because it's not.
Farbridge is 8-5
on the morning line, but they're not on
8-5 on the morning line.
Oh, 8-5. 8-5 is not bad. I assumed he'd be lower than that. I think he probably will be lower than that.
I think
yeah.
Especially with Pratt riding, because they just bet Pratt like crazy these days for good reason. I don't know. I feel like his form kind of tailed off at the end of the year, and the freshening maybe have done him some good, but it's also a new campaign for him, and it's probably just a launching point for bigger races down the line this summer in New York. So it feels like if you're going to try to beat him, today might be the day. And I think Dashman is a very similar case in here in that he has that one, he's a horse that's going to be at his best going as far as possible. You look at his form, he won the McKnight last year and paid $40 going a mile and a half. He won at Kentucky Downs going over a mile and a quarter. He ran well in the Jockey Club Derby going 11 furlongs. All his races he's at his best going the distances. And it felt like the race in February was just a total prep. I mean, they didn't even try. They were going to keep him 3 or 4 wide around both turns. We're just going to race into him. He ran that even running style that I like to see for horses that are going to stretch out. I think you're just hoping that he gets back that form he showed last year in the stake race over this racetrack. He also has the right running style where he has enough early speed to be close enough, but he also can finish a little bit too. I'll admit 3-1 is not the greatest price. I was kind of hoping he'd be a little bit higher. I don't know if I would take him at 3-1, but I do think there's a chance that he does drift up a little bit. Maybe we get closer to 4-1 come post time. So I think Dashman would be my pick in here, but it's definitely going to be price dependent.
Yeah, it certainly would vary based on that. Kaylie, I'll go to you. I'll go to you. You have Dashman in second in your top 3. What did you like about this runner? And it sounds like from our confidence in Farbridge, this is going to be an underneath type of play.
Oh, absolutely. Farbridge, I think, is a complete single here. I really had a hard time. I mean, if you look at the fields that Farbridge has faced, they're nothing. I mean, no horse in here has faced any field like that. Any one of Farbridge's races that he's been running in against Charlie Appleby horses. I mean, he's really tough in here and he fires off a layoff. So he's a total single. And also Dashman, I do think he runs better with Lasix. Most of his wins come with Lasix as well. He's switching off of it, and he's facing a way tougher field than really he's ever faced in his life. So I think he's a little bit up against it here, but can't blame you for taking a shot with a little bit of a price. I do think Farbridge I'd be shocked if he wasn't even money come post time. So can't blame you there.
Yeah, Dashman certainly maybe a threat on his best day, but Farbridge looks far and away the horse to beat. I'll go down to the rail before we go back to Jackson. The number 1, Corruption, a horse that I think is going to be forward, and I think in a race like this, it's probably going to be pretty dangerous. Drew really well with Johnny V, who always rides. I mean, he rides every race well, so I have no doubt that he's going to save all the ground. He's going to be in a good spot with Corruption here, and I wonder if Johnny tries to get this horse back on the front end, where he's had some of his better races have come going longer on the front end. Excuse me. Obviously, he faced Farbridge in this race last year, and that didn't turn out so well, but he did take him all the way down to the wire, as it just ended up being a neck defeat that day. I even want to say I used him, but was burned by Farbridge. I'm not going to get burned by him again. This gelding's 5, Farbridge is 6. I think Farbridge still is going to hold the edge over him, but Corruption's one I certainly respect in a race like this, where I know he's going to be forward, and he does have pretty good staying power for these 1.5 mile races. So one I certainly like in here. Kaylie, anything to add as you have this horse in third?
Yeah, I have him in the mix here as well. Like all the things that you've said, he gets Johnny V aboard as well. So I think that this horse should sit a nice trip from the rail. And like you said, he's more tactical than a lot of the other horses in this field. And I think he should be tough in terms of the rest of the field outside of Farbridge. But I think the 3 horses that we just discussed, I really couldn't find anyone outside of those 3 that could win the race.
Let me ask you guys real quick, just to go back to Farbridge for a second, because I think one of the things that makes him so dangerous is his versatility, because he can be forwardly placed, he can be mid-pack, he also can come from way out of it if he needs to do so. What's if you had best case scenario, what are you hoping to see him place in the first half mile of this race?
Kaylie, go first.
I saw him sitting mid-pack. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him sitting even a little closer. I don't think it really matters too much where he sits. Just like you said, he's super versatile, and I think he's just way too classy for these, in my opinion.
Just as long as he's comfortable and gets into rhythm. Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
I was going to say my thought of where I want him in the race is saving ground. I want him in the 1 or 2 path. If he's there, I really don't care where he is throughout the race, because I know he can kind of run from wherever. So as long as Pratt, and I have no doubt that Pratt's going to save ground and give a good ride. So as long as he does that and save some ground going the 3 turns, that's pretty much the only thing I hope for. Jackson, go ahead and finish this race off with the number 10 Soloway. you can pronounce the trainer's name here, for Marcos Meneses in the saddle.
No, I'm not going to try. I'm just going to cheer him on when he blows this thing up and pays $100.
There you go.
I don't know. It feels like if it's not Farbridge or if it's not the Ashman, it could be absolutely anyone, because a lot of these horses, we kind of just know what they are at this point. They kind of run the same race, and the deep closers that make one run that are in this race just don't do a whole lot for me. They're not that inspiring. This horse kind of feels like an unknown. He was overseas. He was good going the longer distances. He came to Tampa, and there's not marathon races card at Tampa. And I actually thought he went okay, closing into some slow paces down there. This is probably going to be his best game. He was not running with Lasix at the time at Tampa too, which I did notice. I thought was interesting that maybe they do have stakes aspirations for this horse down the line. He's just the upside horse. I'm not going to bet a lot of money on him, but if you're playing something like the Turf Pick 3, have a small little backup to him, because if he does somehow win this thing, he's going to completely blow up the board, and you're going to hit for four figures.
Yeah, I don't know that I disagree with a lot of what you said. And he's going to be the price. I don't know what he is on the morning line. Quick check-in with the comment section. Those watching, if you kindly hit the like button. Yes, please. Thank you, Skippy. Noah Maher's in the chat. Jackson asking for a lock, even though he's on the show and he did all the handicapping work. So that's sure is interesting. But
I'm engaging with the chat with our fans.
I guess so. But race 13, we'll wrap it up. It's the grade 3 Pan American. I'm going 7-1-8. Jackson going 6-10-7. Kaylie going 7-6-1. We'll move on to the feature event of the day. It's race number 14. It's the $1 million Florida Derby. We obviously have picks for the race as they are scrolling on the bottom right now. I'm going 6-2-4. Jackson's going 6-4-2. Kaylie is going 2-6-4. So the second time the three of us are in agreement with the top three in the race. And Kaylie, we're going to start with you. It's Chief Wallaby, it's Belmont, it's Junior Alvarado, connections you, of course, are familiar with and very big fans of. I'm going to go ahead and replay the second half of the Florida Derby race as you talk about why you like Chief Wallaby in here.
Chief Wallaby has really been a professional from day one on debut. He beat the Puma on debut, got a pretty impressive figure for a first out maiden, 89 that day. Switched off Lasix in his second start in the Fountain of Youth, stretching out to 2 turns for the first time. And I thought he ran a really good race, running second to a good horse. Commandment's a good horse as well. I think that he can really turn the tables on him this time around. He was hung wide. He didn't have the most ideal trip for a horse stretching out to 2 turns for the first time. And you see, he really just gets into his gear late. He finds another gear. And also what's interesting about this horse is that he has a lot more speed, I believe, than what he's shown in both of his races. He's pretty tactical. You saw they had a pretty snug hold on him in debut. They also waited for the time here to make his move. He's a really impressive horse. He blew by Commandment in the Gallop Out. There's a lot to like about this horse. Been on him from day one, and I think he gets the job done on Saturday.
I like it. Yeah, Chief Wallaby certainly. You can kind of split hairs, Jackson, between who ran the better race between Chief Wallaby and Commandment in the Fountain of Youth. You picked Commandment in second, so I'll turn it over to you before we shift the conversation to Nearly, the new face in here.
Yeah, look, I think they both ran extremely well. I think it really was a toss-up. I think you could absolutely make the case that Chief Wallaby ran the better race because he did have to go wide. He also got the jump just a tad on Commandment. But again, they were a neck apart. They both ran extremely well. They're both lightly raced. They both could improve. To me, if you're deciding between the two, it's just going to come down to price. And it sounds like Chief Wallaby is probably going to be the favorite come Saturday. That's literally the only reason I would lean on Commandment more than Chief Wallaby. But I don't really have a knock on either of them.
Yeah, I don't have a huge knock on either of them. From my end, I do, though, think that Nearly is the face that has done very little wrong in all of his starts. The 2-turn test in the Holy Bull was phenomenal, where he was just right up close to the lead. Jackson Redland Rebel is going to scratch here and go to Oaklawn. So that kind of makes the job easier for Nearly. Go ahead and take it from here, as this is the horse we haven't seen in almost 2 months, and I think could certainly take a big step forward.
Yeah, it feels like of the big three, who needs points the most? It's Nearly. So he's 100% ready to go because he has to run well to make the Derby field. who has the pace advantage in this race? It feels like Nearly with the scratches because he's going to be in front of those other two. I guess there's some other cheaper speed in here, but sometimes those horses just can't keep up when you get to the likes of the Nearlys and the Chief Wallabies. Like they just become irrelevant. And he also can sit just off of it if he needs to. He's proven that before with his outside post. So I think tactically he has the advantage just a little bit. And it also sounds like he's going to be the third choice in here. So in a really, really difficult race, I'm going to pick Nearly on top. But again, it's not a huge opinion. I just think he's going to be the best value in this race. I'm really excited. Between these top three, I don't remember a race leading up to the Derby that feels this deep, where it feels like we can legit have the three top prospects 5 weeks out that are all in the same prep race. So it's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, go ahead, Kaylie.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. You can argue that Commandment and Chief Wallaby are really the top two. They ran the best.
Right.
They're the fastest out of everyone on the Derby trail, and two horses that really fought down to the wire, which you really love to see. And I do think, Commandment went into that race with way more experience than Chief Wallaby, and that's why he impressed me just that much more. I do think that once he works out a little bit of a better trip, not saying Chief Wallaby had a bad trip, but it's hard to deny he covered a lot more ground than any other horse in the race. So I do think that if he sits a little more inside, which he should, he drew the 2-hole here. I think that puts him in the winner's circle and really turns the tables. But I'd agree. We're talking about three really good horses, and we haven't even talked about the Puma, who's the fourth horse in here. To me, I'm not counting him out. He's not in my top three, but he's going to turn into a wise guy horse if he's in the gate on Derby Day, in my opinion. Same connections that brought you Mage, and he's the biggest price out of all four of them here. So if you have room on your ticket, in my opinion, I'm not viewing him as one of the legit win contenders, but I'd take a shot if I had the room, throw him on there. You catch him at a good price, but Nearly scares me the most out of the whole rest of the field. This horse is working lights out.
Yeah.
He looks like he's grown. He should have absolutely no problem getting the distance. He's by one of the best sires, if not the best sire in the world. Not this time. I love the way that this horse is training. Lights out. He left his work partner in the dust, who's a decent horse, a nice allowance horse for Todd Pletcher, that this horse is absolutely buried. So I'm very excited to see these horses go head to head. This is going to be a great race.
I'm excited to watch it too. You mentioned the workout on Nearly leading into this race. Yeah, it was a feet in the dashboard sort of work for Nearly, where the jockey or the exercise rider was doing everything he can to kind of just rein him in. You could tell he's kind of sitting on go, and he's ready to take that, that energy to the afternoon. So he's one. I'm very excited that he's going to be the third choice in here, because he's absolutely going to be a bet for me. I'm likely going to single him to end all my tickets. I think Commandment and Chief Wallaby are very good horses. I have nothing against them, but I think if there's ever a time that you're going to get Nearly at a really nice bettable price, I think it's going to be this Saturday. And I think he has the most upside as it comes to taking a big step forward. As Jackson, you love to always bring up the paired up those buyer tops, and that's exactly what Nearly has done. And he's had some time to mature and to grow. And Pletcher can have these horses ready to go for these Derby prep races. On top of that, Johnny's going to get the jump on Commandment and on Chief Wallaby, and I think that could play a big factor with Gulfstream not having the longest stretch. I think Churchill Downs, maybe that those tables get turned on Nearly a little bit, or even Keeneland, that has a bit of a longer stretch than Gulfstream does. So I think he's kind of at a pace advantage, and we've seen how Nearly can power away when he gets opened up by Johnny V, kind of turning for home. So I'm curious to see the running of this race, because as we've all talked about, it's kind of the top three of the top five, I would say, Derby contenders are in this race, getting to square off against each other. And we'll wrap up the conversation with the Puma, who we haven't talked a whole lot about, but came off a really powerful win in the Tampa Bay Derby. I don't know how you want to view the speed figures there, because of course the track took a lot of moisture. Jackson has been laughing more than he's been not laughing this show. So I'll go to you, Jackson. Points or thoughts on the Puma here?
No, I was just laughing because of our conversation, not just you and I, but our group chat. We talked about this horse for like 2 hours on, was it yesterday? Yeah. Tuesday? Just going back and forth on the Puma. My issue with him is look, he has to improve. There's no doubt about that. He's got to improve at probably 10 points to win this thing. And that's just to get in the mix against the big three. And that's assuming all those horses don't improve too. And Chief Wallaby's raced twice. He can move forward. Commandment has only raced 4 times. He can move forward. And the same could be said for Nearly. So I think if you're betting the Puma at 9-2 and banking on minimum a 10-point speed figure improvement, to me, that's not a great bet. If he was 12-1, sure, maybe, but he's not going to be 12-1.
Yeah, I think he might be 6-1. I think 6-1 is probably the highest you're going to get on the Puma.
I do think there's a clear separation with the top 3 in here versus the Puma, but I do think that the Puma's a sneaky horse. He likes to fight. He shows up. That's the one thing. I really like that horse in that way, and I don't view him as a win contender necessarily in this race, but these connections, they know how to win derbies. They won it with Mage, and I do wonder, how he's looking on Derby Day, and if he does take that step forward and is right up there with this group, then he becomes pretty interesting. I thought this race came up super tough, but he's a horse that's also shown a lot of talent, so it's definitely going to be a horse race on Saturday, that's for sure.
It is going to be a horse race, and if the Puma, who very well could jump up 10 speed figures, I still think that kind of puts him 4th in here, which is a wild thing to say, but Commandant's been, very consistent in his, start to the career. Bill Mott's not going to run a horse unless he's, feeling good that this horse is going to progress. And Nearly, who's coming in, working like a monster, training like a horse that's going to take that next step forward. It's very possible that the Puma could run a very competitive 4th, and we could be looking at something where, he does take that huge step up. It's just behind 3 horses that might just be better right now.
For sure. And the interesting thing about it, I think we're talking about points, so just made me think of it. Chief Wallaby, I think he's like 16th on the leaderboard, so he needs points to really punch his ticket. So that's also another interesting. He's working very well too. Not as flashy as Nearly, but very well. That Bill Mott really has the screws more tight than they were last time, for sure.
Exactly.
I'm a little worried, guys. I have to work at 3:30 on Saturday, and this race is supposed to go off at 3:42. So I'm gonna have to find a way to sneak away, or I gotta.
Traffic's really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go late at that point.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to find a way to sneak away and watch this race, because it's certainly shaping up to be one, maybe one of the best races of the year to this point. Certainly the best Derby prep that we've seen. Kaylie, it's been fantastic having you back on. I hope to see more of you as we continue on Derby prep season, Oaks prep season, and into the year. So hope everything's good with you out in New York, and keep grinding away on all the content with you and Matthew DeSantis, because it is nonstop every time I open Twitter.
Absolutely, so good to be back with you guys, and love to join you next week for the Wood Memorial too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We will certainly be back. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, check us all out on X. For our excellent co-host and guest, Kaylie Shapiro and Jackson Muniz, I'm Ryan. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you guys next week as we preview more Derby prep, Oaks prep, and all other races that go on around the country.